And breaking news this midday, Americans Paul Whelan and Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich are on their way home, freed from Russian jail in the largest prisoner swap since the Cold War. Thank you for being with us this midday. I'm Kara Soule. The release of the two is part of what ABC has confirmed is a multi-country, multi-part deal. 6 countries involved and 24 prisoners. We are expected to hear from President Biden any minute. Natalie Adad has been following this story all morning since we first heard word. That was about 7 o'clock this morning, Natalie. I know we were discussing it. We sat down for our morning meeting. So what do you know about how this all went down?
This all unfolded pretty quickly, and it was a surprise to all of us. But ABC News can confirm a prisoner transfer agreement has been made, and Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan will soon be in U.S. custody. They were freed earlier today in a multi-country prisoner swap in Turkey. Gershkovich and Whelan have been jailed in Russia for several years. They and the U.S. have denied all allegations against them. Meanwhile, we are expected to hear from President Biden at any minute about the negotiation efforts that went into this prisoner swap. He released a statement shortly before we came on air here on WFAA. It says, in part, the deal that secured their freedom was a feat of diplomacy. He went on to say, some of these women and men have been unjustly held for years. All have endured unimaginable suffering and uncertainty. Today, their agony is over. He then thanked allies of the U.S., including Germany, Norway, Slovenia, and Turkey, for their help in the negotiation process in returning these 2 Russian prisoners back to America. Now, Gershkovich was arrested in March of last year while on a reporting assignment in Russia. He is accused of spying on Russia for the CIA. Gershkovich was convicted last month and sentenced to 16 years in a high-security penal colony. It was the first time since the Cold War that Russia had put a U.S. reporter on trial for espionage. That is his charge. The Biden administration has said Gershkovich was targeted for being a journalist and an American. Whelan was arrested in 2018 in Russia, also charged with espionage. He was convicted in 2020 and sentenced to 16 years in prison as well. Now, at the time the former Marine was arrested, he was working for an international automotive parts manufacturer company based in Michigan and claimed to be visiting a friend in Russia. Both the former Trump administration and current Biden administration have called for Whelan's release. Now, we are working to find out when Gershkovich and Whelan will arrive in the U.S., as well as the other 2 Americans that were released from Russian prison. We are also working to find out where they will be landing. Historically, Russian prisoners such as Trevor Reed and Brittany Griner have landed in San Antonio. We are working with our sister station there to find out information. We will keep you updated right here on WFAA. Kara?
Yeah, Natalie, and that's video that everyone is looking forward to seeing is them getting off that plane. Thank you so very much for that. The last high-profile prisoner swap involved Olympic gold medalist and Texas native Brittany Griner, as you heard Natalie mention. She spent nearly 300 days in Russian custody and sentenced to 9 years in prison under drug smuggling charges. So cannabis oil was found in her luggage at an airport in Moscow. The WNBA star was swapped in 2022 for a convicted Russian arms dealer. And North Texas Marine veteran Trevor Reed was wrongfully detained in Russia for nearly 3 years. The Granbury native was sentenced to 9 years in prison after Russian authorities said he assaulted an officer. He was only released when the U.S. agreed to a prisoner swap in 2022. This is clearly an unfolding story. Of course, we're waiting on that video, and we can see they are safely back on U.S. soil. We'll bring you the president's comments on this new prisoner swap as soon as we see him reach the podium, and we hear that's going to happen. We'll have the very latest at WFAA.com and our social media channels.